everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where we are going to make one of the Patreon soap design challenges. For this month I asked my patrons to name 3 elements that they'd like to see me use in a soap. I put everyone's suggestions into a jug, and the one that I drew out came from Mel, who runs Body Care here in Australia, and I've left links to her business down in the description box so you can go and check it out because she's got some beautiful work. Now, Mel wanted to see me use a fresh essential oil blend with a plant infusion and summery colours. Now, this one was a little bit hard because normally what I'm looking for on these design challenges are very specific suggestions that might just push me out of my comfort zone. But because she was quite generic with what she wanted to see me use, I procrastinated about this for a long time until I decided what to actually do. And I came up with the idea. I've got this essential oil blend that I use in many of my other products called Citrus Burst. It's one I made up just by grabbing all the citrus essential oils off my shelf, blending them together to see what I got. Now, I'd really like to know how this one behaves in soap, so I thought it was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and use this essential oil blend. And as I sat there thinking about what plant I wanted to infuse, I was having to make some more of my Bidie's balm, which requires me to use a infused olive oil, which is infused with calendula and chamomile. So I decided to go ahead and make some more of that and use that in the soap and see how it behaves. Let's go and see how, first of all, I infuse that oil and then we make the soap. Let's go. To do my oil infusion, I'm using my small crock pot. So just placed the inner on my scales, I've tared it out, and olive oil is one of the best oils for doing any sort of botanical infusion. And to get the absolute most out of it, I am also using some extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to pour in about, I think if I can get it in here, we'll go for 2 kilos. If not, we'll go for 1.5 kilos. It's been a while since I've used this size pot, so I can't remember how much it actually holds. I think we're going to go for 1,500. Right, yeah, we're going for 1.5 kilos because I don't think I'm going to get my full 2 kilos in here, which is okay. Next thing I'm going to add in is some calendula petals, and there is no rhyme or reason to how much you actually want to add in here. They are quite light, so a little bit goes a long way. I'm going to add in about 20 grams into here, and then I'm going to add in my chamomile flower heads as well, and I'm going to add in about 50 grams of these. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. Okay, now I've got those in there. I'm just going to submerge them a little bit, just get them a little bit wet so that they can start infusing. That is looking much better. I'm going to go get the base for the crock pot. Alright, so now we've got the base of our crock pot. Let's get it plugged in. Pop our base in here with our lid, and I'm going to turn this on to low. So now that I've got that in there, I'm going to leave this sit on my side for about 4 to 5 hours, just gently warming and getting that oil to infuse. Then just before I go home this afternoon, I'll actually turn this off and I'll leave it overnight to cool back down, and we'll be back tomorrow and we'll strain all those flowers out. Alright, so it's the next day. This is now nice and cool, so we can start draining it off and then bottling it up. I'm going to pour it into this glass jar, and so that I know how much wastage I have got, I'm going to weigh my jar first, because some of that oil is going to have absorbed into the plant. So even though I put 1.5 kilos of oil in here, I'm likely to only get 1.2 out of it. Now I've got a little nut bag or a nut milk bag here. I'm just going to put it over the top of my jar, and let's tighten it up so it hopefully doesn't fall off like so. And now I'm just going to pour this in here. Hold the bag as well just to make sure, and we're going to let it all strain out. Alright, now this is where things get messy, because what we need to do is start to squeeze the oil that's left in this bag out. But you do also want to be careful that you're not squeezing so hard that the really fine particles that are in here come out, but just enough that we're not wasting too much oil. So I'm going to give this a good squeeze, and then once I'm happy that I've got most of it out, I will weigh my oil. Okay, so as suspected, I've got just over 1.25 kilos worth of oil. Now I could continue to keep squeezing this, but I did notice I was getting to that point where I was starting to get a little bit of the debris coming through, or the really fine particles, so I stopped and left it at that. Now there is a couple of things that you could potentially do with this, but I want to share with you one of my mistakes that I did. I decided one time when I was making this to use all this leftover pulp to go into a soap, and I couldn't understand why the soap was behaving really strangely. And it wasn't until a few days later that I realized what the mistake was that I had done. So I've just said that I poured in 1.5 kilos worth of oil, and I've got 1.25 in that jug. That means there's 250 grams worth of oil in here. And when I put this into my soap mix, I kind of didn't take into account the residual oil that was in here. So if you are making a soap bar, remember to discount the olive oil that goes into your soap recipe by the same amount as what's in this bag. So for example, if I was making a 1 kilo batch of olive oil soap, just pure olive oil, and I was putting this in, I'd only actually weigh myself out 750 grams and rely on the fact that there's another 250 grams in this bag, and then you'll get a nice soap that doesn't need at least 6 months to cure on the cure rack and has about a 20% super fat on it. So learn from my mistake there. Now that I've got that all done, I'm going to clean this up. We're going to pour it into some bottles, which I'll go and get in a minute once my hands are clean, and then we're going to start or finish off prepping the oils, which I've started, and then we're going to make the soap. Alright, so I've decanted it out into my bottles. I already have part of my oil mix already measured out. This had all my hard oils in. I put a little bit of liquid in here so that overnight it cooled down and still stayed liquid. Let's get in our olive oil, or our infused olive oil. I love the smell of this once it's got that chamomile in, and it's such a great way because chamomile is actually very expensive to buy as an essential oil, and this is such a great way to get that chamomile smell into your soap without using the essential oil. Alright, let's keep going until I've got this in. Let's grab the other bottle. Now this calendula and chamomile mix here, I also use this in my Bite Ease Balm because of the properties that the chamomile and calendula have in them, and it also gives that Bite Ease Balm that beautiful aroma. Alright, we are almost at the right amount. That's it. Give this a stir to make sure it's all well combined, and then we'll get on to making the soap. Alright, so we've got everything ready. There is nothing different to making this soap with infused oil as any other soap. So I'm going to pour my lye water in. We're going to give it a mix, and then we're going to put in, or split it out for the colour and put in our essential oil blend. So to try and keep with the summery colour suggestion, but also keeping in mind that this has gone quite a dark yellow as it already is because of that infused oil, I am sticking to bright orange and yellows. So in here I have a little bit of pumpkin orange, which is a My Micro Obsession. I have some Wellington with a little bit of black just to try and get it a bit darker. And then we're going to do a little bit of titanium dioxide in that one. Let's put this in there, and then into my main batter I'm going to put in a little bit more of the Wellington mica and try and get like a pale yellow soap. I say pale, I've thrown in a whole heap there, but I think it'll work. Alright, let's get this mixed up. That not the colour that I was aiming for. I just wanted a slightly darker yellow. So let's put some more yellow mica into that one, and I will hand stir that in just to try and get a nicer but darker yellow. Hopefully we can bring that one back. I don't think it's going to work. I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that we have got that infused oil, but you know what, it's going to give us the contrast in our soap design, so all is good. Let's add in the fragrance while I'm giving this a stir. So I've got an essential oil blend, and I'm making this as a small batch so I can actually test this blend and see what's going to happen with it. In fact, we will put it in the white. I wasn't going to because I didn't want it to discolor, but I'm testing this. So this is a citrus oil blend that I came up with that goes into all of my products by the name of Citrus Burst, and it's got pink grapefruit, tangerine, lime, bergamot, and some spearmint in it. And it's just such a bright, fresh, pick-me-up sort of fragrance, and I would love for it to actually hold and stick well in the soap bars. I currently offer it in my body wash, it's in my shampoo. I'm working on trying to get it into some shower fizzes. I put it into all sorts, and it's such a popular smell because it is so bright, clean, and fresh. So hopefully we can get it to work in soap. I'm going to keep stirring these up and see what happens. We'll get it into our mold. Now I think because this is actually thickening up on me slightly, it could be because it's humid here actually today, I'm going to do a in the pot almost plip plop and then we'll pour it into the mold. Let's see how we go. So there it is. I'm going to leave it nice and plain and simple just like that, so the ingredients are the absolute star of this soap. I was a little bit concerned about how dark or how the colour that yellow was going, but I actually really like it because it reminds me of the spearmint and the lime that is in here. I'm going to leave this one sit overnight and we'll be back shortly and we'll cut it open and see what we've got. Okay, it's the next day, we're ready to cut into it. I love the colour this has gone to as it's saponified overnight. So the colours that were in the oil and the essential oil blend have really mellowed out, and I can't wait to see a bit more of this sort of darker, well, it was meant to be a dark yellow, but it's looking more like a green. I must have just added too much black into the yellow to get that darker yellow colour, but that's okay because, you know, as I said earlier, the green kind of really ties in with the lime essential oil that is in this one. And talking of the essential oil, at the moment this is smelling absolutely beautiful, so really hoping that the blend is going to hold over the cure. So let's grab these pieces out, and I'm loving how it's looking. That is the inside there. It really is a beautiful summery bar of soap, and oh, it smells so good. So I'll send it off to the cure rack for 4 to 5 weeks, depending upon how busy I'm about to get with Christmas coming up. And then I'll take it off and double check what that essential oil blend is like. I will give you an update on it as well. And if it holds really well in this soap, then I'll end up using it as one of my, my soap bar ranges. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along as I made this soap using the infused oil, essential oils, and summery colours. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.